Hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of Spilling Studio. My name is Sam, and this week we have 7 new ARE practice questions designed to help you pass your next exam. We have 1 question per exam topic and a bonus question at the end, so stick around. First up is practice management. Which of the following begins once an issue is discovered? Statute of limitations, statute of repose, betterment, or privity? Feel free to pause here to answer. The answer is statute of repose. Now don't go mixing up statute of repose and statute of limitations. Statute of repose begins once an issue is discovered. This one can have 2 different time limits. One at discovery and one from substantial completion. So there could be a situation where the discovery period is 3 years and the absolute cutoff is 6 years. This would mean if an owner found an issue 4 years after substantial completion, then they would only have 2 years left to file a claim. Statute of limitation begins at substantial completion and sets a time limit to when a claim can be filed. After that time, no claims can be made. Each state has their own time period, but it's typically between 3 and 10 years. The concept of betterment can apply to claims of omission, mistakes that do not violate the standard of care, and owner-directed changes. Those are just a few cases where betterment is applied in practice. There are too many to cover here, but AIA has written a great document explaining everything, and I've linked that down in the description. I know this was a concept I was struggling with when I was testing, but this PDF is only 6 pages and it helped me out immensely. Privity is a concept that protects the architect from claims by parties that they do not have a direct contractual relationship with. Architects have to be careful that they do not take on responsibilities that are not theirs. You may have heard in school or at your firm, "No, that's means and methods." Well, what they're saying is that it's crossing the line of telling the contractor how to build the building. And if that happens, then the architect is liable, which means in that case, privity would not protect the architect from claims. There are a few ways privity can be voided. The most well-known being means and methods. Another is implying the architect is responsible for any portion of the construction. And lastly, not bringing attention to obvious safety issues to the owner and the contractor. It's super important that you don't give direction to subcontractors on site. When you do that, you would be committing number 2, taking responsibility for a part of the construction. You only notify the owner and the general contractor in writing, not the subcontractor. Next up is project management. According to AIA document B101, who must provide a program schedule and budget? Architect, contractor, owner, or end user? Pause here to answer. And the answer is owner. As mentioned in the question, this one comes straight from AIA document B101, Article 5, Owner's Responsibilities, and it's the first 2 items listed. The program may have stumped some of you there, but remember the program is supposed to be provided by the owner. If they don't have a program and they need the architect to provide one, then the architect should ask for an add service, since programming is not part of our basic scope of services. Now on to programming and analysis. A dental office is planning to move to a new leased office space. The architect has determined the office will need approximately 6,000 square feet of net assignable space. The efficiency for the office is 0.75. The leasing manager informs the client that the building load factor is 1.5. Approximately how much space does the client need to lease? 4,000 square feet? 4,500 square feet? 6,000, 8,000, or 12,000 square feet? Pause here to answer. The correct answer is 12,000 square feet. In this question, we were provided with the required net area and efficiency ratio. So our first step is to solve for the gross area. In your study books, you've probably seen the equation set up to solve for efficiency. Just convert this equation so you're solving for gross area. Enter in your known factors, 6,000 square feet for net area and 75% for the efficiency. And then our gross area comes out to 8,000 square feet. But you're not done yet. You also need to figure in the 1.5 building load factor. What the heck is a building load factor? Well, it has nothing to do with the weight of the structure. It's a factor that accounts for shared portions of the building that the tenant is renting from, like lobbies and other communal areas. In this example, it's 1.5, so you just multiply the gross area by the load factor, which brings us to 12,000 square feet. If you follow me on Instagram, I recently posted this question and I forgot to include the load factor. And I wrote the question, so learn from me and don't repeat my mistakes. Our question for project planning is, an owner is looking to purchase land to build a new office building. The owner has asked the architect to assist in selecting land to purchase and asked that the building be 6 stories tall with 10,000 square foot floor plates. One of the lots they're looking at is 350 feet by 250 feet and has a FAR of 2.0. What is the maximum buildable floor area for this property? 43,750 square feet, 60,000 square feet, 87,500 square feet, 120,000 square feet, or 175,000 square feet. Pause here to answer. And the answer is 175,000 square feet. To answer this one, first you need to know what FAR is. FAR stands for floor area ratio, which is the ratio of a building's total square footage to the size of the land. To the right are some simple diagrams showing different site layouts you could use with an FAR of 1.0 or 0.5. Each of these comply with their ratio requirements. So to solve for the maximum building floor area, you take the lot square footage, which is 350 feet times 250 feet. That gives you 87,500 square feet. And then multiply it by the FAR ratio, which is 2.0 in this scenario. That gives us a maximum buildable floor area of 175,000 square feet, which is absolutely huge. A brief pause here to remind you that I post new questions every week, so please hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on a video. It also really helps me out, so thank you. Now on to project development. An architect is working on a new high-rise building in the center of downtown. The building is designed with exterior columns that are aligned with the property line. Which type of footing should be used? Wall footing, independent column footing, combined footing, strap footing? Pause to answer. And the correct answer is strap footing. When column footings are going to hug the property line, you want to use a strap footing. This is often used in high-rise design since buildings usually take up the full property site and a symmetrically loaded footing cannot be poured. The beam connecting the two footings is called a strap beam. Combined footings are used to support 2 or more columns or walls by distributing the load to a wider area of soil. This is often used when 2 columns are too closely spaced together. Wall footings are just as they sound, they run the entire length of the wall. They're also sometimes called a continuous footing or a strip footing. An independent column footing is the simplest of them all, and they are probably the ones you're used to seeing. A standard symmetrical footing at the base of a column. Next up is construction evaluation. Which of the following is the contractor solely responsible for? Field reports to the owner, the punch list, subcontractors' PPE, change orders. Pause here to answer. And the correct answer is subcontractor's PPE. The contractor is the only party responsible for on-site safety. The punch list is created by the contractor and reviewed or edited by the architect. Field reports are conducted by the architect, and change orders involve all three parties, the owner, architect, and contractor. Last but not least, our bonus question is, which of the following is not considered in dead load calculations? Columns, furniture, joists, drywall, or mechanical equipment? Pause here to answer. And the answer is furniture. Dead loads are vertical loads on the building, which includes the building's weight and any permanent equipment. I'm sure the mechanical equipment option caught a few of you, but that is considered permanent equipment, so it's not live load. Live loads are loads that are imposed on the building due to use and occupancy, which includes people, furniture, and movable or temporary equipment. Wind, snow, and earthquake loads are complex, therefore they're not considered to be live or dead loads. That's our questions for this week. Remember to check out in the description for links to some of the AIA contracts covered in this video. I've also linked some of my favorite study books, so go check those out. Let me know in the comments what subject areas you're struggling with, and I'll do my best to cover it in the next video. Thank you all for joining. Please subscribe and good luck on your next exam. You got this.